welcome back to Model Kit Stuff, and in this video we're going to have a first impressions look at this amusing hobby 135 scale German multi-turreted tank. Now, what little I know about these tanks are there was around about 5 or 6 of them made. They all saw service in Norway. They weren't front-line tanks, and it says here Krupp armoured version, and that's because some of them actually weren't even armoured, they were just mild steel. So this is the armoured version. The reason I bought this, I don't build tanks very often anymore. I used to build a lot of tanks, is I really like the multi-turret look. It has that sort of interwar look, and yeah, and with it being an early tank, it's just something different than constantly doing a Panther or a Panzer IV. Anyway, so I've not built an amusing hobby kit before, so that'll be quite interesting. On the side, on the ends of the boxes, we've just got further description of what they are. Here we've got the different paint options for different campaigns, all Norway. I think there's an early 1940s Germany. So these were used for like policing and crown control and that type of thing. And then on the other side of the box, you've got some pictures of the photo etch locations and some actual pictures of the kit. And it says here the finished model is built from parts within the box, without any modified or scratch built work or aftermarket detailing sets. So it looks like you're getting plenty in the box. Well, let's have a look inside and confirm that, shall we? Well, the box is absolutely rammed with plastic, and right here on the top is a big bag full of individual track links. So see if we can see. There you go, you've got 2 links on each sprue. And the other thing that I've just seen is we have a little jig for them. Okay, so individual track links, that's always a big thumbs up, as much as it can be a tedious job. Let's have a look. So single piece lower hull. What I really like about this as I'm looking at it, there's lots and lots of detail on the underneath, but there's no cut-off point where it's come off a sprue. There's nothing to clean up, so there's nothing ruining the seam lines, and there's weld on that seam line. In fact, the detail is absolutely fabulous. Really nice. And it says 2009, so there we go, about 11 years old. But yeah, that would probably make it one of the first amusing hobby kits, I'd imagine. Yeah, that's really nice. Next item out of the box is more track related sprues, and these have the individual pins for the track links, all of which seem to have a bit of flash on, so that's going to be fun. If there's flash on them, they are going to be problematic to fit, I would imagine. But we will have a look at that closer later. Next out of the box is some of the upper hull. You can see there's clearly going to be engine bay panels to go on the top there. You've got the 3 turret rings, openings for the viewports and the hatch there. Some quite fine detail. I can't see any sink or anything. So that all looks really quite... It appears to be a combination of sealed bags and Ziploc bags containing sprues. So the next bag had these sprues in there. There's 4 of these smaller ones, 4 of these larger ones, so there's quite a lot of repetitive parts. So I'm going to show you, this is sprue B, and you can see there's a lot of detailed parts, so viewpoints. These are parts of the suspension. I think that's suspension as well. it's all very nicely cast. There's some very tiny parts on here. If you look at parts 2 and 3 there against my thumb and my finger. And then here we have some even smaller parts. Some really tiny parts there. So there's 4 of each of these, and then I'm not quite sure what these are. I think these are bolt heads that you take off with a chisel and glue on individually. I've not seen that before on an armoured fighting vehicle kit, but yeah, that's really quite interesting. So the next sprue is N, and that has a radio antenna, some of the Pioneer tools, part of the exhaust maybe, some brackets, and then this jig or quite short jig for the tracks. Okay, then we've got sprue P, which is a tiny sprue. It's got a turret hatch, jack blocks. Not quite sure what that is. Could be the starter handle or something. Just one of those. Okay, so the next bag, a Ziploc bag, has 2 of these frets, which shows, I think that's part of the wheel structure. I'm not quite sure what the long pole is, but we've got some flash on both of these in the same places, and quite a heavy amount of sync. Now, without knowing what that part is, I'm not sure how big a problem that is, but what we can see on there is little weld lines as well, so the detail is absolutely phenomenal. Really nice. And then we have the main turret hatch, probably the commander's hatch. It's got some beautiful rivet detail on the outside, but I don't know if we can see that on the inside there. Some really nice texture on the inside as well. It's even got the teeth, hatch teeth. That's really nice. I'm guessing that there'll be some vision blocks to go in there, glass vision blocks. Sprue G, we have one of the gun turrets, one of the smaller ones. So there's a lower and upper part, mantle, part of a hatch cover, some hinges, viewing ports. Not quite sure what that is. So I think that's all related to the hatch. I think that could be, yeah, it goes inside the mantle, so that mounts the machine gun in there. So those are all parts connected to the next out is sprue F, which has the main turret. So we'll just have a look at the detail on there. Lots of rivet detail. And then on the rest of the sprue we've got the mantle there, hatches, that's the base of you can see the teeth there for the mechanism for turning it. And the detail is really lovely. Hatches, another whip aerial. We've got lifting hooks there. I think that's exhaust covers, I'm not 100% sure. There is some detail on the inside. That's the first time I've seen injector marks. That could be a problem if you're having them open. Yeah, really lovely. Really nice. This is sprue Q, and we've got barrel cleaning, more Pioneer tools and shovels, more Pioneer tools there, tow S-hooks, wire cutters. We've got the eyes for tow cables, the jack, fire extinguisher, we've got the tool there for levering track, machine guns, no text lights, got a bit of sink in it. Really nice, and if you look at the muzzle cleaning, you know, it's even got the little texture on there, which you seldom see that. The rivets are nicely scaled on the jack. It's really very nicely done. Next out is sprue D, and we've got single piece moulded plastic fenders. Give you an idea of the overall length of this. Engine panel there with a fan built in. The texturing and the detail is really very, very nice all the way through this, as far as I can see. This would have been folded over, so even though it's a single piece of plastic, it doesn't actually look out of scale. You know, it doesn't. You wouldn't gain a lot for replacing it with some etch. I don't even know if that's possible. I've not looked to see if there's aftermarket for this. But my intention is to build it straight out of the box anyway. And we've got a second sprue G, so the two secondary turrets on the tank are identical. Small fret is T, which is all the clear parts, and we can see we've got headlamp lenses there. We've got quite a lot of viewport windows, and I think those might be tiny driving lights or something maybe. Yeah, quite a lot of transparencies there. Then sprue C is a bigger sprue than most, and we've got some of the bigger parts on here. So this goes in between the wheels, and you can see there's some nice rivet detail on there, riveting around the hatch opening. Then we've got parts for the exhaust, cover there, the horn. Everything's nice and crisp on this one. I think they look like the headlamps. The last of the sprues are the two largest. Now, these are both the same sprue A, which has all the drive wheels and sprockets and bits and pieces on. Again, everything nice and crisp, lots of tiny detail on there. And the U-hooks there have got the little separate locking levers on, and springs are nicely. There's no heavy seams on any of this either. It's really quite a pretty kit. So next couple of bags, these were in separate bags, are the 2 frets of photo etch. Try and be careful with the light here because this is very shiny brass. So we appear to have some replacement parts. So we've got a shovel blade there that would replace the plastic one, for example. And then we've got hinges, we've got what looks like some cover for the exhaust. Yeah, some quite nice detail on there. So we have a small sheet of decals, and as I rub my finger over them, I can feel they're quite thick. There doesn't appear to be a lot of carrier film around them, so in between these two, for example, there's only a small amount in the middle. They do feel quite thick. So, and the last thing out of the box is the instructions. So this is a staple bound booklet. It's got a period black and white photograph there, and then at the bottom we've got the assembly guide icons, and then as we open it up, there's a brief introduction, and then we have a parts list. So as you can see, it's got quite a high part count for a relatively small tank, I guess, early war tank at least. Yeah. Then the instructions themselves are quite busy, but yeah, we can see here we're putting individual bolt heads on, which we saw as we were going through the sprues. What I do like is these little paint splashes here are shout outs for the paint colours. I've not seen a paint guide as yet. It's got some little tips: hold with masking tape temporarily after glue added. Seems to follow a logical order of hull, build the road wheels, place the road wheels, so that all seems to make sense. It appears to be there's another jig there for making the road wheels, so that's really helpful. There's a little bit of drilling to be done on the fenders. I don't know if is that suggesting that you need to squeeze the parts together. I'm not quite sure. There's instructions there to make etched clamps, which usually you'd buy in an aftermarket set. It's just nice that they've included those. And we've got instructions here for assembling the tracks. So it looks like you put the pins in and then cut the sprue off. So that's quite interesting. Got some instructions there for the for some etch parts that goes around the jack box. Then we move to the turrets. And then we have more bolt heads to go on, and brackets, and final assembly. Points out some bits that are optional. And then we have what looks like a photocopy sheet for the painting guide. Now that's interesting. The paint guide's black and white, but on the front here we have colour, so they could have colour printed it. So what have we got? We've got Germany 1940, which would be Panzer Blue. Oslo, Norway 1940, again would be Panzer Blue, and with this elephant head decal. Then we have Norway, late April 1940. And then we have a camouflage scheme here, which is Germany 1937, so that would be that the Panzer Blue and the sort of rust red type of colour, and then this last one is an unknown unit in the Ukraine. And then finally we have the paint shout out. So I'm reading this upside down. So we've got GSI Krios. I don't think I know that brand. Humbrol, Model Master and Tamiya colour shout-outs. And they seem to, there's no blanks there, so they've found a colour in all of those ranges. I'm not likely to use any of those paints on this, however. So there you have it, multi-turret German Second World War tank from Amusing Hobby. What's my first impression? I'm really impressed. Really outstanding attention to detail. I like the fact that they have separate bolt heads that you can glue on, so they've avoided moulding issues. Not much in the way of cleanup involved. There was only really a couple of sprues that we saw and any flash. I think it's quite a unique subject. I think it's quite a pretty looking tank. I like how they've set out the instructions step by step, and I like the fact that they've made you some jigs. They've really thought about the needs of the modeler and how to put this together. So yeah, I think that's fantastic, and I'm looking forward to building it. Okay, that's it for this unboxing. Take care everyone, and I hope to see you all soon.